Now here's our top story. Do you know what it is? If you guessed Usain Bolt and SSL saga, you got it right. The Stocks and Securities Limited fraud is one of the biggest scandals to hit Jamaica in recent years. More than 200 customers were scammed of over $30 million in a fraud scheme that dates back decades. No doubt, this had to be our top #1 spot. Here's a look back.
The last thing any of us expected barely 2 weeks into the new year was news that over $12 million had been stolen from the investment account of hometown hero and sprint legend Usain Bolt. But those were the headlines that dominated local and international media for weeks after a multi-billion-dollar fraud scandal was uncovered at one of Jamaica's oldest investment firms, Stocks and Securities Limited (SSL). The news sent shockwaves across the island's financial sector, severely eroding investor confidence, and the market has still not recovered. At the top of the year, former wealth advisor Jean Panton reportedly gave a written confession admitting that she stole over $3 billion Jamaican dollars, or about $12 million from 40 of her clients, including Bolt. According to one of the early statements from SSL, Panton originally omitted Bolt's name from the list of clients she had reportedly stolen from. She then allegedly contacted Bolt's team herself in a bid to have them help her replace the missing money. But that backfired. The revelation, however, prompted a massive year-long investigation which uncovered, quote, an entrenched culture of gross mismanagement of client funds at the institution. The Financial Investigations Division enlisted the help of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and Kroll, a forensic accounting firm from the United Kingdom. So far, over $30 million and some 200 client accounts have been affected in a web of fraud that dates back to at least 2006, 16 years ago. After a year of investigations, there have been a lot of twists and turns to this story. Bolt and his team had originally given SSL a 10-day deadline to repay his stolen funds. However, they backed down to let the investigation unfold. At one point, the directors of the company reportedly tried to initiate moves to wind up the company before the investigation fully got going, but were blocked by the court. Later, SSL employees pulled a sick out because they hadn't been paid. The government announced that they'd use taxpayers' money to temporarily cover the company's expenses so that the investigation wouldn't be disrupted. That caused massive public uproar, leading the government to stress that the move was only temporary. However, it never ended up happening because some of SSL's tied-up funds got released just in time to pay the employees. There was also the time Jean Panton, who is the only person arrested so far, claimed that she was enticed into confessing by SSL founder Hugh Croskery. Panton and her lawyers tried repeatedly to get her bail, citing her poor health. Videos surfaced online showing Panton in a wheelchair and using a walker. According to her bail applications, she suffered a stroke and several seizures while in custody. However, a doctor later testified that he had seen no signs of these claims. So yeah, lots of twists. The scandal also exposed inadequacy in some of the regulatory bodies. The Financial Services Commission, whose job it is to oversee investment firms, had given SSL numerous warnings dating back to 2010 to clean up their act or risk suspension. But after several warnings, nothing happened, and SSL was allowed to continue operating despite a pattern of failing to adhere to regulations. One disastrous press conference later, the government announced that it would be folding the FSC into the Bank of Jamaica, making the BOJ the ultimate regulatory authority over the investment banking industry.
Now, the institutional arrangements and approach of the Financial Services Commission that I described over these past 13 years and probably before, and that have been highlighted by this particular case in question, cannot take us into the future.
SSL founder Hugh Croskery resigned from his role as director early on in the investigation, and the FSC announced that they had dropped their case against him in December. According to the FID, more people are expected to be arrested in connection to the scandal. The decision on who gets arrested now rests with the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Let's get this money.